Ricki shot to fame at 19 years old when she was cast in the film Hairspray as the pretty but overweight girl who could dance. Take a look.
Aren't you a little fat for the show?
That's enough, Amber.
I would imagine that many of the home viewers are also pleasantly plump or chunky.
Oh, come on. The show's not filmed in CinemaScope.
You're out of line, Amber.
She's taken her personal struggle with weight, which began in childhood, and turned it into a positive, helping other kids and their parents tackle childhood obesity. Here now is actress, former talk show host, and the co-author of Too Small to Be Big, The All-Stride Solution, Ricki. Ricki, every time I see Hairspray, I think this poor girl, she has to live with this on camera now that you're not the chunkette that you were.
No.
How does it feel when you watch that?
Well, I look back on it, I think what an experience it was. It was, you know, and the fact that it's lived on from a Broadway musical to another movie that John Travolta played.
Oh, yeah, it's a fantastic
script. So I think it's flattering ultimately, but the fact that I've managed to improve physically with age is a nice thing. It's on the celluloid for everyone to see.
And the girls who do the Hairspray are terrific actresses.
They're awesome. I mean, it was hard to swallow in the beginning. I mean, the idea that Marissa Jarrett Winokur went on Broadway to play my part, and I was really offended because I'm a singer and I wanted to do it, and John Waters was like, "You're not fat and you're too old."
You're too old, yeah.
But she was mine. She was basically my age. She's like 5 years younger than me. But you know, all in all, it's a compliment. And the fact that I've had 9 lives in this business is pretty.
You're an incredible success story you are. But you started gaining weight when you were 10 years old.
Around that time. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint, but yes, I was molested as a young...
Really?
You knew that.
I forgot. I always blocked bad things like that out.
Yeah, well, I wish I could. Someone who worked for my parents, like on like a gardener, handyman guy. And, you know, it was a traumatic thing. It was something that I dealt with over years with therapy. I mean, I don't think it messed me up, but I think it was part of who I am. But I think that's probably one of the reasons why I gained a lot of weight when I was, you know, turning 9 or 10 years old. I turned to food. And, you know, that's not uncommon for a lot of people today.
There's a lot of times people put on weight to keep someone away. Also.
Well, that was my case. But I have a friend who also, my best friend, she was also molested as a child. And we talked years later when we were adults, and she did the opposite. She became very promiscuous. So the fact that, you know, I went the other way, I didn't want anybody to find me attractive. And I didn't talk about the molestation until I was 21 years old, and it was something I buried for a long time.
You never told your parents or anybody?
I told them when I told. Like, I kept it secret for a long time, and then when I told, it was never discussed again. It was like I was never sent to therapy. This is pre-McMartin. Remember the McMartin trial in California?
Pre-Oprah?
It was
and
probably...
Phil Donahue when they...
Well, Phil Donahue was on, but I wasn't going to call Phil and say, you know, have me on the show.
I mean, but people...
But no, people were not talking about it. This is, you know... And it was just my secret, and it was something that I dealt with, and you know, again, it's like I don't want to use that as an excuse. I also had very poor eating habits. I didn't sit down with my family for dinner at night, which I think is a huge thing. That's one of the things I really try to instill with my boys, is to sit down, that kind of ritual of a family doing not watching TV or on the computer, but really engaging in conversation and being conscious of what we're eating when we're eating.
Some kids hate to do that because they feel pressured to converse and to tell you, what did you do at school today and all that. They don't like it.
Well, I think they do. I think they may not act like they do. I mean, my little one, my 9-year-old, the other day, you know, he wasn't sure if it was family dinner night or not. And he's like, "Aren't we having family dinner?" I mean, he really likes the ritual, and that's what I'm learning, and I think I miss that.
To it.
Absolutely.
And have them enjoy it, I think. I mean, it was a nightmare for me when I was a kid. I did not want to sit with my parents. You know what my father would do? Let's say you're having a veal parmesan, and I would take the mozzarella off and save it for the end.
Really?
So I would eat the veal colored first and just have the mutz sitting there, right?
Because that's your favorite.
Yeah,
you want
so
your favorite
you know what he would do at the end? He would reach over and take the mutz and eat it. Okay?
I don't blame you.
Why would a child want to sit there with parents when a father does that to his child?
I can't answer that for you, but I would, after the first time, I would have, you know, eaten the mutz first.
So why do you think I would learn?
Yeah.
I must have been stupid. All right.
Well, speaking of learning, can I also say I was on GMA this morning, and I want to apologize because, you know, though I'm not a doctor or claim to be any sort of expert, I'm an advocate with this program, All Stride. And I put my own money into this business that I'm hoping will actually make great changes in the situation with, you know, childhood obesity. But I did misstep when I said about juvenile diabetes being, type 1, juvenile diabetes being preventable. That is not the case. It's type 2.
Okay.
And so, you know, I got, you know, it was a great interview, and I was really happy with it. But you know, we've been getting all this feedback, and I really want to apologize to the community and clarify that juvenile diabetes is not a preventable.
Okay, you made a mistake. You're not Charles Manson, Ricki. Relax.
I'm not. And I'm not your father eating the mozzarella off your plate.
Yeah, imagine taking that So I wonder why would it not become obese? Just to prove something.
You never were obese, huh?
No, I was skinny actually as a child, believe it or not.
Right.
But you know what? I'm reading statistics and it's unbelievable. 1 in 10 toddlers under 2 years old is overweight. What the heck is going on there?
I mean, I don't know. That's a question for Dr. John
Who will be
Monaco,
coming
our
on the next
amazing
segment.
pediatrician. There's nobody more passionate about this issue. He's a ICU trauma pediatrician who deals with these issues all the time. These kids 10 years old, 11 years old, 250 pounds with heart disease already. So, I mean, he's the guy to ask. But no, clearly, with what is going on, with phys ed being cut out of schools,
right?
You know, computers, Facebook, you know, we're sedentary, the fast food, parents having to work 2 jobs, nobody's cooking at home, nobody's eating fresh food, you know, without preservatives. I mean, it's like a snowball effect, and I think something needs to be done. We need to re-educate the public that there are healthy options and choices and a community that is there to help.
I know, but it's very hard for parents to do everything you just described and also cook fresh meals and everything else.
Having been the kid who struggled with my weight and now being a parent of 2 sons who are not skinny, they're not fat, but they're not thin. It's really a delicate balance. Like, how do you bring it to their attention? You don't want to make them feel bad about their bodies. You know, so it's really a tricky thing. And that's why with this book, which we're giving away for free on our website, allstride.com, it is absolutely free.
Very good.
We want people to get involved. We want to help people. And it's an online community for parents to get information from other parents, from our experts, and for kids to meet other kids who have had success.
Okay, when we come back in the next segment, we're going to bring this pediatrician out that you love so much and ask him some questions. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Yeah. I'm back with the lovely Ricki Lake, and joining us is Dr. John Monaco, a pediatrician and the co-author of Too Small to Be Big, the All-Stride Solution. You've co-written the book, I take it.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Right. So, Doctor, let me go back to what we were talking about before.
Right.
1 in 10 toddlers is overweight.
Well,
why? Under 2 years old.
Well, what's happening, if you think about it, parents are so programmed to go to fast food now. The fast food industry has spent $4.2 billion last year just advertising.
Are they giving Big Macs to infants?
No, what I'm saying is, though, is that you're already starting to be programmed that the minute you get on table foods, especially if you have older siblings who are eating chicken nuggets and French fries, that's going to be your food of choice.
Even when you're that young?
Well, you know, you start introducing table foods after, what, 6 months or so, sometimes a little bit earlier. Sometimes, you know, it's the same issue that all the other kids are facing. We're eating for convenience. We're eating for, you know, taste, for nothing, for no better.
And economics, too.
And economics, and you know, people just don't have time to...
I wonder if the women who are breastfeeding have the problem with their children.
Actually, the longer you breastfeed, the more protective you are against childhood obesity.
Of course.
Yeah,
and you give them all your immunities, and they're healthier children.
That's
Did you
always the
breastfeed?
best thing.
I did, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now, how can a parent protect the child from becoming obese? What can parents who are watching do if they see that their children are putting on weight?
Well, I think prevention is obviously the best course because it's a very challenging problem when you're trying to reverse the process. Really is to follow the 4 F's that we talk about in the book. We talk about food. You have to eat healthy, nutritious food as much as you can.
Right.
We talk about fun, which could also be fitness. Kids just need to get out and play more.
Right.
We talk about friending. We've embraced the technological age so that these kids can now be friends with each other. They can communicate with each other in a Facebook-type style. It's very supportive. We need to recognize that kids today spend 7.5 hours on technology every day. So, and then the other
18% of teens are obese. 18%, that's very high.
Yes.
Actually, I'm not surprised.
And that's not overweight, that's obese.
Right.
Yes.
Now, how do you feel about lap banding for these people, these kids, and maybe the gastric bypass? Either one of you. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
have my own. I mean, I don't want to judge, you know, whatever they decide, people decide to do with their bodies. I mean, I think with children, I think it's really dangerous, and I think you would agree on that.
How about teenagers? 17, 16?
I mean, I know, you know, I was 260 pounds at my heaviest at the age of 21. I did lose a lot, well over 100 pounds on my own without having any surgery. I don't even think it was available at that time, but I'm not suggesting. I mean, I think there are cases where, you know, the pros or the risks, you know, it outweighs, the pros outweigh the risks.
Right.
And, you know, I don't know, do you see it a lot with kids in your hospital?
No, we don't see it a lot, but I think it's like any other medical condition in a way. You try to do medical management, you try to do the best you can without surgery. But sometimes obesity can be life-threatening, and you have to do something.
And that's why we're doing something. I mean, I want to say, you know, this is this program, the All Stride program. I mean, my next role. I did the advocacy with women and birth, and this I feel as a mother, as someone who's struggled my entire life. I have 2 sons, and I'm seeing where we're going with this next generation, that they are not going to outlive us for the first time because of these issues.
Because they're too fat.
And type 2 diabetes and heart disease, all these diseases that are preventable. And so, you know, this is what I'm offering to people for
and they
free.
can get this book for free.
Absolutely, on our website.
Okay, the new book is called Too Small to Be Big, and they can get this book for free where?
On allstride.com.
On allstride.com. Okay, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you for having us.
Good night, everybody.